ஷேர் பண்ணிட்டீங்களா மைக்ரோசாஃப்ட் உள்ள வச்சிட்டீங்களா?
கண்டிப்பா. Good afternoon, students. Today I am going to introduce a new chapter, that is environmental science. It's going to be very interesting for you, my dear students. So, what is environmental science? Then what we are going to study in the chapter, right? So, first of all, I would like to talk about the environmental science. Actually, environmental science is a branch of biological science that deals with the study of nature. The nature includes biotic and abiotic factor, right? So simply that is called as an environmental science. Simply it's a branch of biological science that deals with the study of biotic and abiotic factors, right? Which are related to the surroundings, right? That is called the environmental science. I repeat once again. Environmental science is a branch of biological science that deals with the study of an organism in relation to the environment or the surrounding. That is called the environmental science. Okay. So this is a picture that you see. And the globe is there. This globe is the largest biosphere because it consists of both biotic and abiotic factor. I mean, living organism and a non-living organism. There is an interaction between biotic and abiotic. I mean, there is an interaction between living organism and a non-living organism, right? So that is called the environmental science. Okay. What we are going to study in environmental science? Actually, we are going to study in environmental science biogeochemical cycle, adaptation, and interactions, right? So pollution, types of pollutions that we are going to study in the lesson. So first of all, let me take biogeochemical cycle. My dear student, it is very interesting one. Bio means biological sources. Then geo, bio, geo, chemical cycle. They are cycle. So hoping that the title indicates very clearly to you, my dear students, it is very interesting topic, right? Biogeochemical cycle. Actually, biogeochemical cycle is nothing but there is a flow of nutrients. There is a cyclic flow of nutrients between biotic and the abiotic factors. That is called biogeochemical cycle. I'd like to mention very clearly to understand. If you take a globe, the globe consists of, now this is a globe, I'd like to draw, I'd like to represent, it is a globe, right? It consists of, there are mainly two components, right? That is biotic factors, biotic, or it is also known as living factors or living organism. Whereas on the other hand, we can say abiotic factors, abiotic, or it is also called as non-living organism. So, as I said, there is a cyclic flow of nutrients. There is a cyclic flow of nutrients. My dear students, you can understand what I'm coming to point out here. When we talk about biogeochemical cycle, in which there is a cyclic flow of nutrients between living organism to non-living organism. That's why the earth is the largest biosphere. Earth is the largest biosphere. So there is a continuous flow of energy, continuous flow of nutrients from one factor to another factor. I mean, from the biotic factor to abiotic factor, or from the living organism to non-living organism, right? So there is a continuous flow of energy, flow of nutrients from biotic to abiotic. This is called the biogeochemical cycle. So bio means a biological. Biogeochemical cycle is a cycle in which cyclic flow of nutrients from bio to geo, from geo to bio. So that is called a biogeochemical cycle. Here, the energy flows from living to non-living. Again, the flow of energy is cycled back to the environment where it is initiated, where it is originated, where the energy is produced, right? So this process called the biogeochemical cycle. So as I said, biogeochemical cycle is a dynamic process because the biosphere is a stable system. What is biosphere? Biosphere is a sphere that consists of both living and non-living factors that flows a continuous flow of energy from one system to another system. Here, as I mentioned, as I indicated, there are two systems are involved. One is a living system and the other is a non-living system, right? So the cycling flow of nutrients from one system to another system. That's why this biosphere is a dynamic process and it is also known as a stable system. It is also called as stable system. Stable. Yeah, the biogeochemical cycle is further classified into following types. My dear students, it is very easy to understand. Yes? Biogeochemical cycle. It is the following types. I'm talking about types of biogeochemical cycle. The first one, let me take first water cycle. Second one. Second cycle is nitrogen cycle. And third one, carbon cycle. Here, biogeochemical cycle is further classified into three types. The first type is water cycle. And the second cycle is a nitrogen cycle. And third type is carbon cycle. So what are the difference between water cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle? A nitrogen cycle is a type of biogeochemical cycle in which a cyclic flow of water from one system to another system by several processes. It is called a water cycle. Water is originated, then it is evaporated, again it is cycled back to the environmental conditions, right? To the soil. That is called the water cycle. A nitrogen cycle, the flow of nitrogen from living to non-living, right? If it is an organism or if it is a living system in which nitrogen is utilized for various purposes at cellular level, right? After death of every organism, it is going to be decomposed and cycled to the environmental condition. I mean, the flow of nutrient from the decay matter, which is finally deposited to the soil, right? This is called as a nitrogen cycle. What is the third one? Carbon cycle is a type of cycle of biogeochemical, right? In which carbon dioxide is released. Carbon is cycled from living to non-living factors. So that is called as a carbon cycle. So I repeat once again, a biogeochemical cycle is it is of three types: water cycle, nitrogen cycle, and carbon cycle. So first of all, let me take water cycle. My dear student, it is very interesting topic. Let me take first water cycle. Actually, water cycle, it is also known as hydrological cycle. My dear student, it is also known as hydrological cycle. Because water which plays a very important role in the cycle, hence it is known as a water cycle, right? So hydro, as the term indicates, the hydro means water. And the cycle means the water, the flow of water, I mean, the cyclic flow of water from one system to another system, right? So this water cycle can be explained by several processes. I would like to show you a picture that you can understand very clearly. My dear students, it is very easy to understand, right? So this is a right diagram to understand easily. This is a water cycle in which actually ocean and the sea. Water body is the main source of this water cycle. The water, as I said, the water is a universal solvent, right? You know very well. The water is utilized for several purposes, and water is a cycle. Water, the flow of water from living to non-living system by several processes. So the first process called as evaporation. Actually, evaporation is the process by which water is lost in the form of vapor, right? So that is called evaporation. Now, water is available in the form of vapor. Simply, I can say during a daytime or when sunlight exposure, right? When it falls on the leaf surface, the plant which evaporates more amount of water after intersection of all the biological activities. So the excess of water is lost in the form of water vapor. So this evaporation is one of the process by which the cycling of water from one system to another system. Now this is a diagram in which you can see evaporation. The water is evaporated directly. If you take a water body, the largest water body is the ocean, in which naturally during daytime water is evaporated, right? And the second one is a condensation, and the third one is a sublimation, and fourth one is a transpiration, right? And next one is a precipitation, and next one is surface flow, runoff water, infiltration. So all these are process by which water is cycled from one living system to another living system, from one system to another. Simply I can say the flow of water from biotic to abiotic factor, right? So that is called the water cycle, because water is cycled from where it is started and where it is originated. They are replaced. Water has to be traveled from various systems, right? So this is very interesting area to understand, right? So let me take a second one, sublimation. Actually, sublimation is a process by which the solid substances or the solid condition, the solid phase directly converts into gaseous form, not in the form of liquid, right? So if you take a hills, if you go to Himalaya region, right, you can see Everest, right? In which you can see the hills is covered by very large size scale, ice bar, right? So directly the ice bar starts melting when exposure of light to the insection, right? So directly this ice bar directly converts into, not in the form of liquid, directly to gaseous, right? So that is called as a sublimation. Actually, sublimation is a process by which the solid phase directly converts into a gaseous phase, right? So here, this yields indicates directly, you can say, sublimation process, right? So this is another process by which water is cycled, right? Actually, it is available in the form of ice bar, solid state, but exposure of light on the solid state of ice bar, it starts melting and directly it evaporates in the form of gaseous, right? So that is called a sublimation process. And the next stage is called condensation. Actually, condensation is one of the process by which, my dear students, it is very easy to understand. Condensation is a process by which directly the gaseous form, right? The gaseous form converted into simply liquid form, right? So, I mean, the gaseous form of a condition of water is converted into simply liquid form, or the gas or gaseous form of water evaporation is converted into liquid form of state, liquid form of phase. That is called as a condensation, right? During daytime, when higher exposure of light to the environment will happen, water is evaporated, and the evaporation reaches as a form like clouds. And again, this cloud, the evaporation is finally stored in the form of clouds. So when breeze dashes and touches the clouds starts melting. I mean, it is in the form of rain, right? So that is one of the process by which we can get water. So this is a way, one of the process which is involved in water cycle, my dear students. And next, transpiration. Actually, transpiration is a process by which it is very interesting area. The plant system, it plays an important role, right? Transpiration, it is a natural process, right? You can say it's one of the biological process in which water is evaporated in the form of vapor, right? So this is a transpiration process, right? In which water is evaporated in the form of vapor during daytime, right? So mostly the water is absorbed with the help of root, and the root uptakes water and is supplied other parts of plant. And again, the water is evaporated or released in the form of vapor. So this evaporation that leads to form clouds, then clouds converted into again rain. Then rain flows in the atmosphere and is stored in the form of water bodies like stream, lake, pool, ocean, etc. Right? So this is a way by which water cycle is taking place, right? And one more thing, that is a precipitation. You know, precipitation is a process in which simply it leads to form of simply droplets. Actually, water is available in the form of droplets. I would like to mention precipitation. Water is available in the form of some precipitation like drizzling. You can say drizzling. You can say. And the small droplets, water droplets, and sometimes we can say, we can find snows, and sometimes it is also available in the form of hail, right? And sometimes it is also available in the form of fog. So these are all the various way by which precipitation is taking place. So precipitation is a process by which the water evaporation converts into simply drizzling, droplets, water droplets, snow, and hails. Sometimes it's going to be like a foam in the very early morning, right? You can see foam, right? So this is a process. It is also involved in water cycle, right? My dear student, it is very interesting area, right? Next, runoff. Actually, runoff, it is also one of the process. Actually, runoff is nothing but a flow of water. Flow of water from one place to another place, from one water body to another water body. So these are mostly the flow of water which occupies the surface of the earth, right? In order to understand, I am going to show you another picture, my dear students. Yes, you can understand. So this is a picture in which you can see runoff water after rainy season, after raining, right? The amount of water is mostly the amount of water is absorbed by plants, and the excess amount of water is goes towards into deep of the soil, right? And sometimes when rain comes on the hill station, you can see the runoff water from a hailstone, the blind land you can see, right? This is one of the condition, one of the process by which water flows. So this is called a runoff water. Simply I can say the flow of water from one water body to another water body, right? Which occupies the surface of the earth, right? So that is called a runoff. And one more I am going to show you, infiltration. Actually, infiltration is a process by which water which goes towards deep of the soil, right? That is the infiltration. Infiltration. So infiltration is it is a process in which I'm going to show you the picture that you can understand. The soil which has a source of water. In addition to that, you can say this picture which explains clearly to you, right, my dear students? Infiltrations. Here, due to infiltration of water, the level of groundwater is gradually increased, my dear students. You can understand now this is a ground floor water. It is possible, ground floor water is possible by simply infiltration, right? Because water which absorbs by the soil, and again the water has to be traveled deep of the soil. So as a result, the water table is gradually increased, right? So this is one of the process by which water is cycled back. So the flow of energy, the flow of water from hailstone, from atmosphere to hill station, from hill station to runoff water, and in plain land, from plain land the water has to be traveled or gone towards deep of the soil. So as a result, the water table is increased, right? So the pure water content in water table which receives excess amount of water at the atmosphere. I mean the surface of the air, right? So this is one of the process by which water cycle is also taking place. And one more thing, that is a percolation. Actually, percolation is a process by which water is received, water is transported from surface to deep of the soil, and it has to be traveled through rocks, some rocks, right? Some rocks also. So directly water cannot be reached. And some fractured rocks. So the soil is a source of rock in which you can say there are many rocks are there. So the fractured rocks are also involved in flowing of water from the surface of the soil to deep of the soil. I mean water table. So this is also, you can see the flow of water. Simply, a percolation is a process by which water which moves from surface of the earth into deep of the soil. Again, deep of the soil into it reaches a rack. From rack, water has to be reached through some pores of the soil. I mean, minor pores are there through which water is received by water table, while as a result, increased concentration of water. So this is one of the process that is also involved in water cycle. I'm talking about hydrological cycle, or it is also known as the water cycle, my dear student. Actually, water cycle is the cycle of biogeochemical cycle. So far, we have come across many processes, right? Such as evaporation, condensation, sublimation, and percolation, and runoff water, infiltration. There are so many processes, and transpiration also that we have discussed, right? My dear students, we have discussed a lot and lot. One more process, so that is I'm going to show you, my dear student. Yes. Simply, I'm going to show you. This is a right diagram to understand infiltration, my dear students. My dear students, you can understand if you take a surface of the earth in which water which moves, here the diagram explains very clearly. Due to precipitation, as a result, we can get rain, droplets, drizzling, and snow, etc. Here, infiltration, as I said, infiltration is a process by which water moves from surface of the earth into deep of the soil. So actually, water is stored by the soil, right? And from the soil, water has to be reached through certain racks. Some racks are there through which water has to be traveled. I mean, water has to reach deep of the soil, and when it goes to deep of the soil, the water has to be reached. Finally, the water which will reach on the groundwater or water table. So there is a flow of water from surface to soil water storage, from soil storage to percolation, from percolation to water table, from water table to water body like a stream, pool, ocean, sea, etc. There are so many water bodies there. The well is there. Well, stream, lake, ocean, water gate. So many water bodies are like that. So ocean is the largest water body. So finally it reaches from water table to water body. So this is a right diagram to understand what is precipitation, what is infiltration, what is percolation, my dear students, right? Okay, what are the impacts of water cycle, which are very interesting one? What are the impacts? My dear students, what are the impacts? Impacts on water table or water cycle. So, due to urbanization, the first thing is due to urbanization. The urbanization, which is nothing but migration of people, right, from one place to another place by cutting off trees or etc. By utilization of biological resources. So that is also affects water cycle. Second one, the soil erosion, right? Human activities, urbanization, soil erosion, etc. And due to usage of some pollution, some pollutants, plastic by usage of plastics. Plastic usage, right? So these are the human activities which are affecting on water table, right? My dear students, simply I'd like to just review. Today we have discussed only one topic, that is biogeochemical cycle. My dear students, I repeat once again, biogeochemical cycle. That is the first topic, right? Simply, there is a dynamic process. Biogeochemical cycle is nothing but there is a cyclic flow of nutrients from one system to another system. I mean, from biotic to abiotic factor. That is called a biogeochemical cycle. It is a Earth is the largest biosphere that provides a stable system and continuous flow of nutrients from one system to another system. It is broadly divided into three types. They are water cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, right? So that I have taken first of all water cycle. Water cycle simply it consists of several processes. They are condensation, transpiration, evaporation, sublimation, precipitation, evaporation, and runoff water, flow of water, etc. So this is a thing that we have discussed, right? Infiltration, percolation, etc. My dear students, they are very easy and interesting, right? This is environmental science, and this diagram explains percolation, snow up, evaporation, precipitation, etc. My dear students, here you can understand very clearly precipitation, filtration, infiltration, percolation, right? Students, this is your time to interact, right? Thank you for joining, my dear students. Students, may I?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you understand what I taught you today?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My dear students, could you tell me what is biogeochemical cycle? My dear students,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
who are the
Yes, sir.
who?
Yes, sir.
Example.
Yes, sir.
Could you mention the types of biogeochemical cycle?
Water
Yes.
water cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle.
Very good. Very good. Water cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle. Very good. Right? Okay. What is sublimation? What do you mean by sublimation?
Sublimation is conversion of solid to gas without
Solid
passing
to
through
gas.
the intermediate liquid phase.
Very good. Could you, right? Could you mention the process are involved in biogeochemical cycle? In water cycle, particularly, I can say. There are so many processes are involved in the picture.
Evaporation, sublimation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, sublimation, transpiration, condensation.
Okay, precipitation provides which of the following? water forms. Here I am showing a precipitation. My dear students, you can understand precipitation provides
due to change in wind or change in wind or temperature, clouds combine to make bigger droplets and power down as precipitation.
right, snow, droplet, etc. Very good. Here, what do you mean by infiltration? Here, please tell me infiltration. Simply, the picture shows clearly infiltration means just look at the flow of water. Simply moving of water from surface to deep of the soil. Students,
Yes, sir.
thank you for joining. Now I'm going to give assignment. Please take note. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.